Here walks in the solutionist, Dayna Karen.
Hi there.
Hey, Dayna. How you doing today?
Already?
I know, right? We're looking for a hysterical time with you because there is never a boring moment being around Dayna Karen.
Are you scared?
Just a little bit. Listen, no cursing, girl. There's the rule.
Okay, bye.
We need a PG version.
Listen, so you're a friend in everyone's head in one way or another, from social media Peloton, from a proud Penn State mom with your daughter Randy being away at school, and Kaya, your new pet that you're loving and everything. We wanted to take a few minutes out of your day to get to sit down and talk to you and get to know the Solutionist and how you became the Solutionist and everything that's around it.
This should be a fun and interesting conversation then. I'm looking forward to it.
Before we get too deep into it, were there like other tag names that you tried before the Solutionist?
I've been called other things, but no.
But Solutionist was the most positive one that you stayed
Yes.
with? Okay.
So when you introduce yourself as a Solutionist or you want people to think of you that, like, what does that mean to you? Like, what's behind the Solutionist?
So what happened is, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we were getting new business cards, and someone asked me, what title do you want? And I said, Solutionist. And I started giving my card out all the time, and the president of the company, Larry Weiss, would look at my card and he's like, Solutionist, seriously? And I'm like, yes. Everyone has challenges, and I need to find solutions, whether it's forming a networking group, raising money for a fundraiser, helping people by mentoring them, whatever it was, I'm creating solutions. And so for me, I really love the term solutionist. Wasn't until the pandemic that I really took it to the level I took it to now.
How'd you do that?
I hired a marketing company. They came up with this adorable cartoon character of me with a cape, like solving technology challenges.
Mind you, the cape has your image, it's flowing in the background. You really look like Supergirl.
Totally. And I have a belt with my initials, which say DK. On the bottom, it says The Solutionist. It is literally on every single Zoom and Teams meeting as my virtual background. I have completely branded myself and used the hashtag on LinkedIn, The Solutionist. So it's just so important to me to brand myself.
Just out of curiosity, because you said LinkedIn, everyone always wants to know, how many LinkedIn followers does the Solutionist really have?
Okay, so it's probably somewhere between 18 and 19,000
18 or 19,000 followers?
connections.
Is crazy.
But really, what I feel is the thing I'm most proud of is I've done over 5 million in revenue in new partnerships. So whether I've helped different companies for all different types of solutions, that's come from the way that I've leveraged the Solutionist on LinkedIn.
So you talked about like rebranding yourself in a type of way to remain and continue to be relevant, especially during the pandemic, really taking the Solutionist to the next level. How have people received that? Within your network, your expanded network, their expanded network, what have you experienced with that?
That's an amazing question. So I took it beyond the cartoon character, and I had a digital business card created, which James and I spent a lot of time on. The digital business card was amazing during the pandemic because who wants to touch a piece of paper? Everyone's scared of touching anything these days. So I didn't want to go to meetings with a mask on and say, oh, I'm protecting myself, but here I am handing you a business card, which potentially you can get sick, or I just didn't want to do that. I wanted everyone to feel safe and secure and have a positive experience. So I created a digital business card with the help of James, and it has everything. So it has my LinkedIn, it has Twitter, it has Atlantic's website. I have a YouTube video on why we have no competition, and it's me. And in our parts room, that's another way that I branded myself. So now I've taken it to the next level because when I go to meetings or networking events, they can literally take their phone, scan my card, and it has everything that the Solutionist provides.
What's your thoughts with that, James? Because like we spent some time talking to Dayna. How did you capture all of that and recreate it for her?
It's really not that. Given what we have available today, it's really not that difficult. But you know, Dayna being one of the guinea pigs in Atlantic, she's always, I'll title myself as an idea guy. If I'm anything else, I'm an idea person. And a lot of my ideas can land at Dayna's feet and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And she's, yeah, okay, let's try it. And I want to go back. So what you mentioned about like how you branded yourself, when she labeled herself as the Solutionist, she helps raise money for organizations, she helps network, partnership. It took her at least to her fourth prong of that to get to anything sales related.
Yeah, of course.
And that's huge with branding and building that brand to show longevity of that brand and the value of that brand. So it's really kudos to Dayna on being who she's become in her industry and in her, in her territory and for the company.
So it's really interesting. When people think of the Solutionist, I did a poll recently on LinkedIn. What services and solutions do you think I provide? So many of them didn't know what I do because I'm the Solutionist, because I don't focus on what I sell, because I'm focusing on the solutions I'm creating and who I'm helping. One of them thought I was a marketing company because I'm helping so many people on LinkedIn. Another one thought I did full-time fundraising. So I think it's so important to brand yourself. Who you are, what sets your soul on fire? Who do you want to surround yourself with? And that's really what I've done with the Solutionist. You mentioned the Peloton. We all know I'm obsessed. 55 people have gotten Pelotons.
And beyond obsessed with Peloton.
All right. When are you getting yours, Kia?
I will one day. I cleared out a space inside of my room. My
Baby
Peloton
steps.
is going to come. I promise. I just got to make a decision on which one. It's
How
coming.
about we make that decision right now and we just order one?
That's a lot of
They are not
pressure.
sponsoring this session.
Yeah, right. This is not about Peloton.
Okay, well, as we know, the Solutionist has a lot of different passions. One of them is definitely motivating and inspiring others. And if I find out you have a Peloton, I will be following you, and I will be harassing you, and I will be making sure that you make an impact on others.
So, and I appreciate that. I will go get my Peloton. I'm going to do my little thing, and I'm going to make sure
text
that I
your
ride with
husband right
you.
after this.
You're hilarious. So something that we always talk about, like in the time of the pandemic, and something we both have in common, being working moms, right? And being the go-getter, getting out there, being in front of it, and being parents of young ladies. Your daughter being a proud student at Penn State, my daughter being at Seton Hall. Their ages are very close together. I mean, even like right now, you can see the glare in your eyes, and even thinking about Randy or the fact that we brought her up here. Tell us a little bit about being a working mom and what it's like with Randy and your husband and just everything, and the dynamics of who Dayna Karen is, the Solutionist.
So you and I have so much in common. We've talked about, hey, are they going through this yet? Are they going through that yet? How do we support them? How do we help them to understand we work the way we do, nights and weekends, and sometimes never put down that phone even when they need us, because we're doing it for them. They don't get it. And we've talked about this over and over and over. Being powerful women, respected in our industry, and sometimes hated by our children. It's hard. I have spent many nights crying. I have spent hours and hours of guilt. Presence versus presence, right? So up until the pandemic, I didn't get it. I just didn't. I needed her to have every single thing that I didn't have growing up. And I thought that I was doing it for her. But now I realize that all we have is time. And that's our most valuable asset. Not money, not the gifts we buy them, not the no-boo dinners, none of that. It's how fully present we are and the lessons that we teach them. A few years ago, I posted on LinkedIn how difficult it was for me, and making sure my daughter understood why I did it. That was picked up by Working Moms magazine.
Very impactful.
Wow.
And I was shocked, and they reached out to me, and I was humbled, and I go back often. And just recently, as my daughter is a freshman at Penn State, she had to write an essay on who her hero was. And she wrote it about me. And I know, my eyelashes better not come off, I know that I've tried my best.
Yeah.
You've tried your best. We talk about this all the time. I always check in with you. Not so much about the boys,
Yeah.
but how's Nicole doing?
Right.
What's going on with Nicole? What's the transition been like? It's hard. And no disrespect to fathers, it's different.
I understand that it's different, and I think in my dynamic, through the pandemic, my wife is a medical provider. So she's been on the front lines this whole time, never really skipped a beat in terms of her working, and it affected her, through that first wave where all the stories on the news and being here in New York and in the epicenter of what was happening across our country, it got to her, and we made a life change. We relocated. We moved down to the Jersey Shore to slow down our pace and things like that. But because of her position and my position, I was able to transition to a remote capability with Atlantic. So I was at home way more than my wife, Carmela. And actually, we were just talking this morning how my daughter, she's only 4, but she's 4 going on 25. So, and I think we've referenced her in a lot of the different episodes through this season. So she's going to need to do
Victoria is a part of everything we do.
She's going to need to do a cameo appearance. But she gets a lot. She's really smart and really advanced. So like when I'm working, when I'm on calls, sometimes with Dayna, most of the times with Kia or Adam or anything, or other representatives of our company, she doesn't pout. She's very emotionally advanced. She doesn't pout. She doesn't cry that I'm not. But she'll after hours at dinner, I don't like when you work at home, Daddy. I want to play with you. I'm like, oh man, all right, no more phone calls. It's tough because, again, you're doing it to provide a life. You're working. It's your own personal ethic that you brought up, but they don't see that. They just see.
Let me ask you a question. Yesterday, I did a poll on LinkedIn. It's 8 p.m. Are you working now? What was your answer?
Yeah.
And if I would have asked you?
I would have been, not yesterday. I was at a basketball game.
Okay.
But while at the game, I was answering emails and stuff like that too. So
Yeah.
the answer is yes.
So
you have that extended time.
But you know what?
When does it end, especially with the pandemic now?
I was just going to say,
When does it stop?
prior to even so I'm even unique too. Like my existence with Atlantic, my whole tenure with Atlantic is pretty much just the pandemic. I started February. We got booted out of our office in March, as the rest of the world did, right? But prior to Atlantic, I'm of a different breed, unique breed, where my career is also my hobby and my passion. I really like what I do, right?
We all do.
I think about what I want to do. Like a podcast with Atlantic. This was drawn up of just probably laying in bed, but I got an idea. And just in years prior, I would have just maybe sent myself an email and got to it the next day. Being home, I'm very aware that my office is only 2 floors down and my laptop is right there.
Do you make appointments with yourself?
What do you mean?
Well, I started yoga a few months ago. It's in my calendar now. When I know that I want to get on that Peloton, it's in my calendar now. I schedule me time. The same way you make an appointment for this, the same way you make an appointment for a doctor, you put it in your calendar. I have had to create boundaries with myself because, like Kia said, it gets all there's no stopping.
How has that changed you, right? Because it's like such self-awareness of what you need, right? And there's so many things and factors outside. Like, how did you get to that point where you said, time out, I need to schedule, I need to hold myself accountable to make sure I do these things? Like, how did you even get to that point?
Watching my 55-year-old sister-in-law die. 55 years old of cancer in March of 2020 when the pandemic started, sitting in a hospital, knowing she was leaving behind my niece and my nephew, and that my tombstone was going to say how many hours I worked. My tombstone was going to only be my identity of my career. And that's when the Solutionist needed to be born, because I was not just my career. I was so much more, but I didn't allow myself to enjoy that. My passion became my paycheck. I started a networking group. I got involved with so many fundraisers, which has always been a passion of mine, but I got fully committed. And I started scheduling me time, because otherwise you just don't have enough of yourself, right? So the self-awareness came, unfortunately, from getting to the bottom. And there was no place to go but up.
Some
And
of that
I'm going
comes
to be
with
54, Kia. I'm going to be 54 in 3 weeks.
you go, girl.
Lots of Botox. When?
You're not supposed to tell the secrets.
Oh, please, you know me.
No
I tell my
filter.
story to the world. When is it ever enough? What
Yeah.
does enough look
Right.
like? What does enough feel like?
See, I want to take maybe not a turn, but definitely a little detour, because it seems as if the tone of our conversation now is trending towards the negative.
Oh, no, not at all.
But see, like, just because it's a passion doesn't mean it needs to be a negative. Like, if it ignites you and if it's what you think about and what you're processing.
It's go time.
So,
Let's go.
Right. Now, so maybe I don't turn off, but I definitely press pause on a daily. So maybe 5 o'clock, I'll turn the computer down and I'll grab Victoria and we'll go to the beach for a walk, or ice cream, go for a walk in the neighborhood. We'll go play a little bit, but I'll come back and do it. So if I get what we're saying, and there's a lot of credence and a lot of value to what we're saying, but it also, like, the passion can be a positive, and we can turn it into a
Totally
positive,
agree.
and that's
not-
what
right,
the
doesn't vow
Solutionist
passion.
became. Yeah.
Oh, it's not a
totally agree.
negative.
So maybe
at all.
the passion was the paycheck. That's a line a lot of people need to draw in the sand and say, chill. But there's so much more that can say my passion, things that come with that paycheck. So meeting these organizations to help with their fundraising events, networking, connecting people.
So knowing Dayna in that, and not speaking for you, of course, but getting to know you over the past 7 years, it's more of that obsession and being obsessed, right? It's that competitive spirit with it. Passion is incorporated inside her. This is obsession of, like, gotta have it, gotta go. There is no no. We gotta figure out how the no becomes a yes. All right, well, it's no. Well, what's the objection? How do you do this? It's connecting all of that with the
Absolutely.
obsession to be able to go, no matter what it is. If it's the, getting on a committee to help an organization reach a goal in order to do something that's very impactful, it's the obsession of, like, there's no negotiation inside of this. You have to do this. And then the passion comes out inside of that, where sometimes that could become a little overwhelming, even though it's very rewarding and creating some
Absolutely.
type of balance.
Absolutely. And when I say passion, so now I work much smarter.
Sure.
So
There's the
tonight,
shift.
I'm having a dinner that I'm hosting. It's all people that could refer potential clients to me. It's all people that are very involved with boards of directors and people on fundraising committees, and they've all made an impact in the nonprofit world. Friday, I'm hosting the Bad Bunny Suite at Newark, the Prudential Center, for our clients. What kind of networking opportunity is that? Right. Incredible for me. Imagine me trying to sing and dance at the same time when I can't even hear English. I'm going to try to sing Spanish. I'll probably be more entertaining than Bad Bunny. But that's besides the point.
We can leverage that into
Right,
an event.
but everything has to set your soul on fire. Right. So many people are doing so many things in their life just to make money. You can't do that. You have to be happy, because if you're not happy, you're not giving the best of yourself to your client. You're not giving the best of yourself to the company you work for.
Well, what's the old adage? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
It feels
exactly.
totally different.
You got to be the best at every single thing. And yes, I'm obsessed. There's other ways of describing it. And I know sometimes there's probably a dartboard with my picture on it in many departments at our company, but I don't accept no. It's not happening. It's not happening. I hold myself accountable. I hold everyone else accountable.
With everything that you just described about the solution, the pandemic, having that self-awareness, everything, do you think it's made you even more successful? And people measure success differently. So I'll explain a little bit. It's not about...
It's a relative scale.
Correct. It's not like how we view performance and things like that. That's not speaking about that, but just for you and where Dayna, the solution, is in her life, has it made you more successful?
So I had a conversation yesterday, and someone said to me, how do you define success? And I said, inner peace. Inner peace. Some people define success very, very differently. And I've watched over the last few years, people make so much money that are completely miserable. That's not where I'm at anymore. I need my happy place. I need my inner peace. I started yoga, which has been amazing. I'm now home. spending time with a dog, Kaya, that I rescued.
Not to
That
be
was
confused with Kia.
Definitely
Kaya.
not. And in Hebrew, it means peace.
Yes.
And that is why her name is Kaya. And let me tell you, she's my heart. And I also had the last year before my daughter went to Penn State, home with her. And the last year with Harley, my previous dog, who unfortunately we had to put down, home with her. And I would never,
Give that time back.
ever define success any way differently than the way I'm living it now. It has been a game changer.
Here's a special moment. So Dayna, hopefully you don't mind me sharing, her morning routine. So she's up early, she does a lot of stuff. She does her Starbucks drive and the run. So she's going to Starbucks to get her 2 drinks, one for her and one for her husband, Eric. And Kaya also gets a special treat from Starbucks as well. So when Dayna pulls up, they know the car, they know the voice, and they can literally repeat it. And then they know to fix Kaya's snack as well.
Doesn't
and if she
everyone's dog get a puppuccino?
I never knew of it until you told me.
Kia!
And then I went and took
You're a
Chewbacca to get
deprived dog.
I didn't know.
Whoa! How old is your dog? Living how many years without a puppuccino?
This is breaking news.
We've got to talk. She should be reported to the ASPCA.
I didn't know.
What?
But once you told me, I said, you know what? Let's go. We got to get this little treat. And the smile, Chewbacca's a little smaller. The smile on Chewie's face is like, man, you've really been keeping this away from me. I was like, I'm sorry, Dayna just told me about it. I apologize.
See,
we'll
that's
go to
because you wouldn't
Starbucks.
take my calls at 6 o'clock in the morning. You hit it right to voicemail. Sorry, busy. If you had taken my calls for the last 6 months, you would have got that puppuccino a long time ago. Do you have a dog?
No, my wife and daughter are allergic. I grew up with dogs.
Get rid of your wife and daughter.
We're talking about inner peace here. Now just abandon your family for a dog.
All right, fine. You can get a hypoallergenic dog.
She's allergic to dogs and everything else.
Okay,
so what the
fine.
dog brings in,
Well,
That's another video.
that's a problem. Yeah, it's another podcast.
So you're very in tuned in a lot of different ways, whether it's personal, professionally, just Dayna. I notice all the different beads and everything that you do, that you wear. They symbolize a lot of different things. Tell us a little bit about that, because there's so much more to you than people know.
Do I want them to know?
Well, only what you're willing to share. So
I
what is the
don't want
significance
to
of all
lose
the
my
different beads?
reputation for being really, really aggressive and annoying. So let's just, all right, so here we go. Let's go with both hands,
Okay.
right? We started off with the watch. So about 23 years ago, I won a sales contest, and I was obsessed with getting this watch. So I bought it for myself for Valentine's Day. Haven't gotten rid of it since. Every few years, I change the band. Loved it. A few years ago, I'm on the beach in Aruba, and I'm like, why am I the only one walking around without a Cartier love bracelet? This is just not working for me. So
So you needed 3.
that's this hand. So I go to Cartier, and I go to get one, and I just couldn't decide. I hadn't had one for so long that I ended up with 2. So I got this one, this one and this one.
Okay, so
And then-
white gold, yellow gold.
So yeah, white gold and yellow gold.
Okay.
And then somehow, I don't remember why, I celebrated myself again, and I got myself the rose gold. These bracelets are probably somewhere between $10 and $40 each. And they represent where I'm at now. This is my success. This is the inner peace. I don't need to have a Cartier love bracelet anymore to feel whole. These bracelets, as much as I love them, and my daughter can't wait to get them, she's trying to get them
Take
off
them
my
off.
arm now with the screwdriver. These I needed to fill a void because I always felt empty before the pandemic. These are where I'm at now. These are all about healing. These are all about not needing to fill a void with anything outside of myself, knowing it all comes from within.
You shared in the beginning, and thanks for sharing that.
Of
you know,
course.
because it's something that's very personal When you were talking about like building your personal brand, and sometimes people build a brand, but it's not the essence of who they are, it's not them. With everything that you shared, it seems like you've incorporated so much of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So that what you present is actually, this is who I am. This is Dayna. Was that like a conscious decision, or is it something that just happened organically?
Well, as we all know, I have no filter. And
Reminder, no cursing, please.
I promise.
Okay, you're doing a good job so far.
He's just taking away half of the video because of all the cursing I did, but that's besides the point. I am very authentic. You either like me or you don't. I am not everyone's cup of cappuccino. It's not even like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. It's way beyond being everyone's cup of tea. I am not everyone's cup of cappuccino. I don't care. So for me to be the solutionist, I had to be true to myself. Who am I? Not everyone wants to do business with me.
Have you run into any hurdles with that mindset?
They've run into hurdles. Those are not my hurdles. Those are their hurdles.
But
Talk about self-confidence.
well, that's great. But like, have you authentically been yourself and just butted heads with a client and it just didn't work out? Like,
In the
I can
last
answer
10
that,
minutes?
Yes. Yes.
in the last 10 minutes.
I know that wasn't my question, but the answer is yes.
Whoa. Yes. But wait. Not everyone can handle the truth. And I am not going to put my reputation at risk. So if I am with someone, I am brutally honest. I'm not the right fit.
And so a follow-up. So you've met the confrontation with that, the personality clash, whatever it was.
It's not personality. It's not necessarily personality. My vision is I'm protecting my reputation at all costs.
But the overall, you met that confrontation. Have they flipped and said, has anybody come back?
Okay. Oh my gosh, one of my largest clients told me that I'm like a little girl who gets her teddy bear taken away. He's one of my best clients. Of course I'm like a little girl who gets her teddy bear taken away because I want to make sure that everything is perfect. I want to fix everything. I want that love from my client.
So now, bringing it back to, maybe it's a generational thing, maybe it's a work ethic thing.
Are you calling me old?
No, not at all.
What does he mean by generational?
But I'm just.
He doesn't mean the negative. He's in a different generation than us, but give him a pass.
I'm not in a different generation.
Is this a man thing?
It feels like it.
No,
yeah,
no.
Like,
I think it's a man
You know what?
thing.
Let's pause and pick on James.
So I have a question. So have you noticed that maybe a newer sales professional that maybe doesn't have that type of drive, doesn't have that type of commitment to authenticity and their brand, have you noticed that their newer sales professionals are struggling?
Oh,
and is it that
absolutely.
connection with themselves?
So this morning I was at my hair salon. They're raising their prices. I said, I cannot believe that you didn't know your value and your worth years ago. What took you so long? I know my value. I know my worth. I know who the Solutionist is. I know we, Atlantic Tomorrow's office, have no competition. When I sit in a presentation and someone says to me, who's your competition? I have none. I have none. And I don't mean to be rude or obnoxious. No one has the passion.
So a member of our marketing agency is in the back, so I'd love to turn that over into some marketing collateral. We have no competition.
We have no competition. Do you think you have any competition?
Of course not.
I'm sorry, what?
Of course not.
Right. Do you think you have any competition?
Absolutely not.
We have no competition. So if someone doesn't want what I bring to the table, I'll sit at another table. I have so many people laugh at me on LinkedIn because I post pictures of my sushi. Great. Guess what? They're now posting pictures of their sushi.
So what do you think the gap is?
Confidence. Knowing your worth. Knowing your value. Knowing what you bring to the table.
But that seems like it's granular and goes person to person. I'm talking like we see, recent college grads that maybe just are short-lived in the industry. It's a tough business to crack into, sure, I get it. But what is it? Just what's that? I'm wondering what that missing link is.
Are you saying from like the point of entry to having a level of success and being able to continue on with it? Like there's something missing there?
I'm just what is the missing link
I'm gonna tell
from
you.
a new sales rep to get to the
I'm gonna tell you.
Solutionist? Where does that happen?
So I started off as a telemarketer 30 years ago in the industry. And I was setting up appointments for other salespeople at another company.
Probably one of the most difficult things to do.
Well, especially
is
when you can't hear.
Getting the
Huh?
appointment.
What? Huh? Yeah, very interesting. I got more appointments than anyone else because I set up appointments I didn't have because I couldn't hear them. Anyway, so the bottom line was, you ask, when do you go from there, a new person, to here? When you're at a company who believes in you. When you have a product that stands behind what you are telling the client it will do. When you have a marketing team like this that puts together amazing events for our clients. When you have support from Kia's team. When you have the confidence and you believe in your product and your company and yourself. I left that company after 3 years because they couldn't bring to the table what Atlantic Tomorrow's office does. That's when it clicks.
That's such an excellent point, and sometimes people don't have some patience, right? Because even though we're obsessed and you're competitive, you want to do those other things, it does require patience when you're developing, right? When you're developing your career, I think sometimes people come in and they see what success looks like.
Or faith. They don't have faith.
They don't have the faith. Well, they want it like immediate.
They are living their life in fear instead of in faith. So my thing, what is fear? False evidence appearing real. That's what it is.
My father coached me in soccer growing up, and he hammered that acronym all the time. So I knew, as soon as you asked that, I knew exactly where you're going with it.
So I think they live in fear, and when you live in faith, you can be more authentic. You can be true to yourself. You know what you bring to the table. Now, I definitely can tailor my presentations for clients that are not as assertive as I am, for clients that, a client that knows me for 20 years told me yesterday, less is more. And I toned down my presentation. He prepped me.
But that's a good thing because people get to know the essence of who you are.
Correct.
And then you build a relationship where they give you some coaching.
Correct.
Right.
And I always start off my presentations with, please let me know if I'm ever too much.
Yeah.
He has been there.
Yeah, I think the other thing too that what contributes to your success and your self-awareness is that you're not afraid to ask for help or acknowledge the fact of, here's a relationship I'm trying to build. I'm not really sure if they can handle me. Hey team, let somebody come in. Why don't we go ahead and do this and let's go. You're very much a team player. And sometimes people, when they are very successful, they kind of isolate themselves, like that lone wolf type
They think
of thing.
they know it all.
Correct. Whereas you'll rattle and bring people, you'll hold everybody accountable, which is a good thing, but that fear doesn't exist in, come on, let's come and do this together.
One of our most recent success stories, one of our most recent takedowns of one of our largest new clients, I have never really engaged with them because they're not going to be very receptive to my personality. They're not going to receive what my passion is. I'm too much for them. You've led every single meeting. Because I know when I'm not the right fit, but Atlantic is the right fit. I'm going to make the introduction. I'm going to have my team and my trusted advisors lead and let the client know, I'm here if you need anything. But I'm too much for some people.
And a lot of that comfortability and that confidence is built off of the trust and the resources of the company. If you didn't have, that Robin to your Batman, it wouldn't work, right? It would.
How about Catwoman?
Well, I needed a partner.
Let's go with Batgirl and Catwoman.
There you go.
But aren't they good versus evil? I mean, we've digressed.
Here we go again.
Dayna, it's really great. We really, really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to sit down and talk to us and just get people to know who you are outside of LinkedIn, Peloton rides, and all the other stuff. Very thankful. It's a pleasure to work with you every single day. And today was really great. I'm sure James is going to take all kinds of different things inside of here. Our team that's here with us today have been cracking up the entire time. Dayna's always entertaining.
They might leave the industry after this one. They might be going straight to go get themselves into an institution after this. Who knows if they'll ever recover?
And, for me personally, again, as I mentioned, my pretty much my whole tenure with Atlantic has been remote. So getting the chance to, we engage
You're not
over
going
the
to tell
phone.
the story of sitting behind
No,
my desk, are you?
no. I'll leave that for private interviews. But we've engaged a bunch through Zoom and Teams and all that stuff. But it's been fun to actually see you and talk to you and be with you today. So thank you for joining.
But you know what's the most important? We are all so successful, and we make sure that we're always laughing.
Sure.
We always make sure that we're having fun with our clients, having fun with our colleagues, and that's really
What it's all about.
so important.
Yep.
Making sure that we're laughing
Yeah. So
at
amazing.
each other.
At each other.
And ourselves.
At each other and ourselves. So I'll talk to you tomorrow at 5:45 a.m. for my
On the
morning
bus.
Why
call.
so late?
Why so-
Here's why. Because when I first started with the
You'll be on the
organization,
Peloton.
I don't have the Peloton yet. However, before we go, let's go down memory lane. So when I started with Atlantic 7 years ago, and you knew I was an early riser, Dayna would start calling me between 4:30 and 4:45 in the morning. Do you remember that?
Okay, well, I think it was like 4:36.
Yeah, somewhere around
'Cause
there.
my alarm
and
went
I would
off at
pick up the
4.
phone and I'm like,
Why?
who is she?
What do you mean,
Who
why?
is this calling me
What do you
at
need
this
to accomplish
time?
at that time?
What? Whoa.
Early risers.
How
Early
much
risers.
time do we have? Are you a morning person?
Morning's not even. It's not even morning yet. It's night.
we're
at 4
up.
o'clock.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That was
If
the
the
mistake.
roosters are up, we can create a solution.
They're not up at that time. Is my
Well,
point.
then they're not creating solutions and we are.
What are you going to do when daylight savings time goes away?
What does
It's going
that
to be.
have
It's
to
going to
do
be
with
dark still for another 5 hours, and you're making phone calls.
She's
It wasn't
still
like I
gonna be
was
on the
standing in
phone.
front of her when I was calling her. I have a light on my phone.
If the opportunity arose, I bet you would have been knocking
James,
on the door.
you want me to start calling you at 4:30?
No.
Then just be quiet.
Everyone, the solutionist.
Thank you.